Journey since August 10th of 2020, MicroStrategy's bought about $8.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's up 44% a year on average since then. The S&P is up 12%, and since we levered it, we're up 825%. The number one performing stock in the S&P is NVIDIA, up 821% as of Friday. So we beat every single company in the S&P index using a Bitcoin strategy.
What if there's a way to bet on Bitcoin's success without directly owning it? MicroStrategy might have the answer. MicroStrategy and Bitcoin are on fire, but could this be your next significant investment? With Bitcoin reaching new highs, could MicroStrategy's explosive stock growth be the real winner? Don't go anywhere, because we're exploring how Bitcoin and MicroStrategy are rewriting investment strategies. Bitcoin versus MicroStrategy. Who triumphs big in 2024? Guess what? Bitcoin has crossed another all-time high and is almost touching the $100,000 mark for the very first time. That was quite an amazing year for Bitcoin since it increased by 110%. Pretty impressive, right? It is like the amount of digital currency continues to rise, gaining more attention daily. But wait, there's a crypto-linked share that's performing even better than Bitcoin, let alone the altcoins. MicroStrategy, which became famous for buying a lot of Bitcoin, has seen its stock rise an incredible 462% this year alone. Okay, that's even more than the 110% Bitcoin grew at. True, MicroStrategy has disappeared but transformed into a Bitcoin powerhouse, which investors love. Here's the big question: which one should you go for? Crypto King and the first of this kind, Bitcoin or MicroStrategy, the company that decided to jump on the bandwagon? Both have been doing well, though the two are entirely different investment types for an investor. Its value is directly linked to the price of cryptocurrency, which means that if Bitcoin keeps rising, so will your gains. It is a more indirect way to invest in Bitcoin. However, if MicroStrategy keeps purchasing more Bitcoin, its stock could skyrocket even more. It is as simple as how much risk you are willing to take and what kind of playback you refer to. If you're ready for a direct bet on Bitcoin, buying the coin itself might be the way to go. However, if you are alright with taking a little more risk to get slightly higher returns, MicroStrategy will be ideal for you. Either way, both are on fire, and I love seeing what happens next. Let's look at how MicroStrategy has built such an impressive Bitcoin portfolio. The Bitcoin Super Collector. MicroStrategy has changed its business profoundly in the last few years. In August 2020, it became the first publicly traded company to make the first Bitcoin purchase as a corporate finance tool. Fast forward to today, and the company is sitting on an incredible 331,200 Bitcoins. More than that, it is precisely $30 billion in today's world. There is more cash in their checkbooks than Nike, IBM, or any other giant company. But what is even more insane is how frequently MicroStrategy has been upping the ante on its Bitcoin bet. In just a couple of weeks in November alone, the company accumulated more than 78,000 Bitcoins in its possession, and they're not going to slow down. MicroStrategy has laid down the gauntlet, intending to acquire an additional $42 billion in Bitcoin over the next 3 years. Funnily enough, MicroStrategy has fully committed to Bitcoin to the point that it now brands itself as a Bitcoin treasury company. To prove their commitment, they have devised Bitcoin Yield, the method they use to benchmark their performance. They are not just a company that stores Bitcoin, but are eager to become much more involved in dealing with cryptocurrencies. With their strategy, MicroStrategy is not just going big on Bitcoin, it is going all in on it. Does it make economic sense in the long haul? As always, it remains to be seen, but they certainly left nothing to chance. Before Bitcoin ETFs hit the market, many investors saw MicroStrategy as an easy way to gain exposure to Bitcoin. Should people invest more in Bitcoin? Since Bitcoin ETFs entered the market in January, some investors have been using MicroStrategy as an instrument to invest in Bitcoin indirectly. These investors do not care for MicroStrategy's software business. All they want is a slice of that massive Bitcoin pile. Some even labeled it a Bitcoin proxy stock, as it looked like a shortcut to getting exposure to the cryptocurrency without owning it. But now that other ETFs have simplified how people can directly invest in Bitcoin, it has become imperative for MicroStrategy to level up its game. Last year, the firm went big, buying more of this cryptocurrency and leveraging it to finance these purchases. So far, this gamble has paid off for them. MicroStrategy's stock rose 462% in 2024 and was the second best performing stock of the year. But that is over 4 times the return on Bitcoin alone. However, there's a catch. MicroStrategy has based the entire strategy on the belief that the price of Bitcoin will only go higher. So what if Bitcoin loses the value it has boasted of over the past few months? Bitcoin is almost always volatile, and with MicroStrategy expanding its Bitcoin portfolio through debt, any price dip will disadvantage the company. It is a subject on which some authorities are already speculating whether this approach is or is not very high risk. Will MicroStrategy's all-in bet go wrong? The jury is still out and waiting for the outcome to see if this will translate into better returns and business prospects, or if it will begin to pose specific issues later. So, what does this mean for investors? If you're in for the long term, consider sticking with Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin or stocks? Outside of income, it is important to understand the concept of the ups and downs. You didn't just wake up one day and find that Bitcoin's price moved up and down randomly. It follows a cycle brought about by events known as the halving, which occurs every 4 years. These events have implications for how Bitcoin and related companies operate. In every part of this cycle, some companies may perform much better than Bitcoin and, at other times, perform much more poorly than Bitcoin. For instance, let's consider Bitcoin mining firms like Riot Platforms. These stocks were hotcakes in 2023. Thus, Riot Platforms received an enormous 359%, and Bitcoin in turn increased by only 155%. Even at some point, Riot's stock was 455% higher than before, if I remember correctly. This was a good victory for those investors who invested in mining companies. However, the process looked quite different in 2024. Riot's share price is down over 20%, but Bitcoin, the subject of its specialty, has surged 110% higher. Well, therefore, what does it mean for those considering investing? Thus, if you have a long-term perspective and do not like fluctuations in which the performance of the Bitcoin companies would rise and fall and you would be shrinking your bet correspondingly, you should stick with Bitcoin. Frightening or not, it is still thrilling to watch firms such as MicroStrategy experimenting with their Bitcoin approaches. However, Bitcoin itself is a far more stable and direct investment. You don't need to follow every company's movements or be concerned about what part of the cycle we're in now. It is simple. That's the beauty of it, and if you're in it for the long term, it is probably the better option. If you're looking for the next 12 years, something that you don't have to forecast is which companies will do better or worse in the long term. Bitcoin has been incredibly successful in the long term. You will not be impacted in the same way as individuals with low time preferences, and thus you can accept that you're okay with Bitcoin in the long run. Looking ahead, the relationship between Bitcoin's performance and companies like Coinbase and MicroStrategy will continue to play a crucial role in shaping the future of the crypto market. Bitcoin and crypto stocks are up as the new year begins. When 2025 started, the shares of companies focused on cryptocurrencies such as Coinbase or MicroStrategy experienced a significant increase early Thursday, and so did Bitcoin. Bitcoin was up more than 2% at $96,500, while both Coinbase and MicroStrategy gained close to 4%. This is an excellent start to the year, and that is why it has elicited great feelings of optimism among many investors. After the election, the crypto world received a new impetus: Donald Trump's victory. For a long time, most leaders in the cryptocurrency industry had high hopes that Trump's second term would introduce even more friendly rules to cryptocurrencies than the current one does. This led to the particular rise, with Bitcoin and other related stocks rising even higher following the election. This was because as December came, some of the fun reduced slightly. it was not as strong a rally, and some of it waned towards the end of the year. One of the biggest moments for Bitcoin was in December when it hit a major milestone. For the first time, it exceeded $100,000. It halved after peaking, but according to the most widely held opinion among analysts today, Bitcoin can easily double by the end of 2025, which is a massive opportunity for those who have been holding their Bitcoin. For most firms, especially Coinbase and MicroStrategy, it has been directly related to Bitcoin's movement. These firms have experienced their particular stocks fluctuate in concert with that of Bitcoin. In most of 2024, Coinbase and MicroStrategy gave good returns, but they had some minor pullback at the end. However, given that the beginning of 2025 seems promising, investors expect these companies to maintain growth should Bitcoin prices surge. Moving forward to the year 2025 outlook, the dynamics of the connection between Bitcoin and companies such as Coinbase and MicroStrategy will remain significant. Still, Bitcoin's growth heavily impacts these companies, and with new developments and better support for the crypto market, one can only imagine how the future might look for Bitcoin and the companies following its trajectory. Bitcoin and MicroStrategy present unique investment opportunities, each with its own risks and rewards. While Bitcoin offers a more direct and potentially stable route to gain from the cryptocurrency market, MicroStrategy's accumulating Bitcoin has led to explosive stock growth. However, it relies heavily on Bitcoin's continued success. The recent rise in both Bitcoin's price and MicroStrategy's stock highlights the strong link between the two, and with Bitcoin's potential to keep growing, MicroStrategy's stock could continue to soar as well. For long-term investors, Bitcoin remains a more straightforward, more direct investment. Still, those willing to take on a bit more risk for potentially higher returns may find MicroStrategy appealing. As we move through 2025, the evolving relationship between Bitcoin and crypto-related companies like MicroStrategy will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in shaping the future of the crypto market. So, what do you think? Will Bitcoin continue its meteoric rise, or will MicroStrategy's strategy of accumulating more Bitcoin be the wiser investment? Which one would you choose for the long haul? Let us know in the comments, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on crypto and investment trends. Stay tuned for more updates.